Hi, I'm Kerry. This is an intermediate to advanced Vinyasa flow practice with tons of fun poses from inversions to backbends. So minimal discussion, minimal instruction. We'll just get straight to it, starting at the front of our mat in mountain pose, beginning to slow and deepen your breathing. We'll start with some sun salutations. Finding Ujjayi breath, softening at the back of the throat, if you're familiar with that breath. And as you inhale now, bring the arms above the head. Exhaling, diving the chest through to Uttanasana. Inhaling, lifting the chest halfway up. And as you exhale, stepping your way back into our first plank pose. And we'll just pause and take a few breaths here to begin with. Toning the thighs, keeping the tummy strong. And on your next exhale breath, we'll lower to Chaturanga Dandasana. As you breathe in, lift the chest through, coming to upward facing dog. Staying strong through the thighs and the tummy here. And on your next exhale breath, roll over the toes back to downward facing dog. We'll stay about 5 breaths here, just building some heat in the arms, stretching out through the backs of the legs. Feel free to pedal out here or sway the hips, any movements that feel intuitive for you. Lengthening through the spine as you move your hips as far back as you can. And for this first one, we'll just step the feet forward to the hands, finding our way back to forward bend. As you inhale, lift the chest halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale to fold in. Breathing in, rise all the way up, raise the arms above the heads, and then come to Samastihi. Inhale, arms reach up. As you exhale, diving forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhaling this time, step or jump your way back through to Chaturanga. Inhale to bring the chest through, upward dog. Exhaling back, downward facing dog. Breathing here. Integrating the shoulders, spinning the biceps forward, rooting through the index knuckles so the palms have the weight evenly distributed through them. We'll play with our first jump forward here, inhaling to your tippy toes, bring the weight over your hands and shoulders. And as you exhale, jump through. Inhaling, halfway lift, and exhale to fold. Breathing in, rise all the way up, stretch the arms above the head, and exhale, hands to prayer at the center of the chest. We'll go again, inhale, arms rise. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale, step or jump back to Chaturanga. Inhaling, rolling over the toes to upward dog, and then back to downward facing dog. Good. Taking this as your place to reconnect to your breathing if you lose it through any point in the practice. And again, we'll play with the jump forward. So weighting over the shoulders as much as you can as you inhale forward and then exhale to the tippy toes and jump in. Exhaling to fold in. On your next breath in, arms rise above the head, and exhale, hands to prayer. Breathing in now to Utkatasana, chair pose, preparing for Surya Namaskar B variation. On your exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhaling, step or jump your way back through the Vinyasa. So just moving at your own rhythm of breathing here. Finishing up in downward facing dog. So slight variation. As you inhale now, start to lengthen your right heel to the sky behind you, opening the hip. So bending the knee and just stretching out through the hip flexor of that right thigh. Inhale to straighten up and square up, and then exhale to step the foot forward between the hands, breathing in to find your way to high lunge. Exhale, sinking into the front thigh. Take another in-breath, and then let the exhale move you down through Chaturanga. Inhaling, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Good. Then finding warrior one on the right side, breathing in, step the right foot forward, turn the back heel down. Arms come above the head. Squaring your hips, square your torso forward. On your next exhale, lower through Chaturanga. Inhaling, roll the shoulders back in upward dog. Exhale, let tummy muscles draw you back to downward facing dog. Inhale, left heel kicks to the sky, bend the knee, stack the hip. Keep squaring through the shoulders as much as you can and just keep all of the action in that back leg. Inhale to square off and exhale to step through. Inhaling, arms rise up, high lunge. Exhale, sink low into the front thigh, tuck the tailbone forward to stretch the hip flexor in the back leg. moving through a vinyasa at your own pace, or skip it straight to down dog if you want to conserve energy today. Inhaling, left foot comes forward, back heel turns down, warrior one on the left side. Square the torso forward, root strong through the back foot. Take one more big inhale breath, and then exhale, lower the palms and come down to chaturanga. Hover just above the ground. Inhaling, pressing up into your back bend. Exhaling back to downward dog. Inhale to your tippy toes. Exhale to step or hop forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold in. Preparing to come back to chair pose. On your next inhale, bend the knees, sink the hips, and exhale to samasthihi. Inhaling, utkatasana, preparing to twist. Keep the knees and hips still, twisting to the right. You can use one hand on the thighs to help turn your torso and ground you. Pressing the palms together, pressing the left elbow down into your right knee. And if it's comfy on the neck, turn your gaze to look over the back shoulder. Option to stay here and skip the arm balance. Otherwise, we're going to have a go at Parasvarabhakasana or side crow. Lowering the hands, shoulder width apart. You can just play with rocking the weight if this pose is new to you, or come in and hold for a few deep breaths. Finding your way back to Uttanasana when you're ready, or pause the video if you want to play a little longer. Coming back to chair pose. As you inhale, bend the knees, sink the hips, hands to prayer. Exhaling to twist to the left. Trying to keep the knees in line with each other to keep the hips square. Turning your gaze over the back shoulder and then preparing for revolved crow pose on the other side. So knees rest on one elbow. Eventually the hips will float, but you can sit them onto the other elbow to help you balance to start with. Again, stay and play. Otherwise, come back to Uttanasana for a couple of deep breaths. When you're ready, inhale, stretching all the way up to stand. Exhaling, hands to prayer. Weight into your right foot for a variation on warrior three. Strengthening the back by lifting the chest proud here. And then as lightly as you can, step the left toes to the back of your mat, coming into a lunge position in the legs. Wriggle your stance wider to get lower into the front thigh. When you're ready, then inhale your arms above your head. Exhaling briefly through warrior two, and we're going to come into bound side angle pose. So wrapping the bottom arm underneath your front thigh and then wrapping the back arm behind you. You can use a strap here to close any gap between your hands. Trying to turn the chest open, rolling that top shoulder back, and then very mindfully start to press the front leg towards straight. So wherever it goes here is fine if you've found your kind of maximum sensation in the stretch for this bound variation on triangle pose. From here, we're going to unravel and come into a little standing balance. So stepping the back foot into a forward fold, and we're going to find a little twist here. So bringing the left hand to the outside of the right foot, and then steady yourself as you weight into the left foot and pick the right leg all the way up. Once you've caught your balance here, twisting from the belly, and really reach and extend the right arm behind you as far as is possible. If you really wanted to test your balance, you could look behind you here. We'll then cartwheel the arms, so we switch into revolved half moon pose. Lengthening back through the right heel. And then from here, lower the right foot down. We're going to wrap the forearms behind us, or you could take reverse prayer if you wanted to deepen the sensation in the shoulders. Squaring off the hips, take an inhale and then exhale to fold forward. Keeping just the softness to your front knee. Breathing deeply here, one more full breath. And then come up to stand and step to the front of your mat to switch sides. Good, so stepping the left foot back, turn the heel down, square the hips, wrap the forearms, inhale at the top and exhale to lower through. Continue to actively keep squaring the hips. So right hip pulls back as the left hip draws forward. So you have that opposing action. And then strong through the legs as you inhale to rise up to stand and exhale samasthihi. Inhaling, arms reach up above the head. Exhaling to fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhaling, step or jump your way back through to chaturanga. Inhaling, upward facing dog. Exhaling back, downward facing dog, reconnecting to your breath here. You can always rest and take a break in child's pose if you need a rest. Otherwise, we're going to find ourselves into a little twisting motion here. So grounding down through the feet, ground down through the left hand. Right hand will then reach for the outer edge of the left ankle. Switching sides, reaching the other hand to the outside of the right ankle. You can really kind of pull the chest and look underneath your standing arms. You get a nice stretch between the shoulder blades. When you're ready, releasing, inhaling up onto your tippy toes and exhale to jump through. Inhale, halfway lift, exhaling to fold in. Inhale, arms rise above the head, exhaling, hands to prayer, and we'll do it all again on the other side. So weight into your left foot, picking your right heel up, keep intention through the whole of the pose. So strong through that back leg as you bend deeply into your standing leg and lightly tap the right toes down, finding that lunge position. Inhaling, arms reach up. Exhale, sink into the front thigh. Extend through the fingertips. Stay another inhale breath here. And then when you're ready, in your own time, opening wide through Warrior Two, transitioning into bound side angle pose. So extending that top arm just to get prepared here, and then bottom arm wraps underneath the front leg. I was going to say bottom leg, front leg. And then back arm wraps behind you. So binding the hands or grabbing yourself a strap if you need to. Try to roll that back shoulder away from the floor as you turn your gaze upwards. And just finding your own deepest variation of the pose as we gently start to transition that front leg towards straight for bound triangle pose. Releasing the hands down to the floor and step into Uttanasana, preparing for that revolved standing balance again. So when you're ready, start to pull your weight over into your right foot. Right hand is going to reach for the outside edge of your left foot. Taking a little bend into your standing leg then, and when you're ready, we're going to stand all the way up. So holding tightly then onto the outside edge of that left foot. Take your time to come up, so there's no rush. It's a video, so you can pause and rewind it if you want to stay in practice longer. Extending the left arm back. Gaze can turn to challenge your balance if you wish. And then we're going to flow our way slowly into revolved half moon pose. So swinging that left leg out behind you, left palm or fingertips lower to the floor. Again, as you twist from the tummy, turning your gaze towards the top palm. Good, stay for one more in-breath and let the exhale release you into a forward fold. Good, stay a couple of breaths here. And then we're going to have a little play. So finding a little bind here in our forward fold. Wrapping the right arm underneath the right thigh. Turn through the center of your tummy to look towards the left. So we're just having a little preparation for tittibasana next. So switching sides. Bind the left arm under the left thigh. Right hand comes around to grab it. And then from here, so your feet are about mat wide or mat width apart. And you're going to wriggle your torso as tightly in as you can. So you're trying to wrap your shoulders underneath the backs of your knees. Hands placed behind your feet. And then with a leap of faith, sink your hips, squeeze your tummy, point your toes, stay as strong as you can through the legs. Hugging your legs in against your shoulders as you attempt the balance. And then fall out, drop out, or if you can, just lower your feet. We'll find our way to a wide-legged forward fold. Good, so you can grab big toes here or just place your palms on the floor. Let the weight of your head dangle heavy. And just take a few deep breaths in this really nice stretch. Closing the gap then between the feet, you can heel toe your feet in or just step in. Wrapping your forearms behind the thighs just to bring yourself into a deeper stretch in the backs of the legs. And then we're going to have a little prep for handstand. So doing some toe taps. So palms on the floor or on blocks if that's not comfortable to stay in that position. And just tapping each set of toes to just above each wrist. So you start to fire up the abdominal muscles and the hip flexor muscles too. So you really have to kind of round through the upper back as you push down into the floor, which is a good action to prepare for your handstand. And then we're going to have a play with kicks. So I've been lucky today and grabbed some balance time here. So if you do 2, stay and hold it. Pause the video and have a kick up against the wall and get some air time. Wherever you're at, just play or stay and balance. Taking a few more deep breaths wherever you're at. And then we'll move our way through a vinyasa. Or skip it and go straight to down dog if your arms are feeling pretty shot after that. So we'll meet together then on an exhalation in downward facing dog, taking a few breaths here or rest in child's pose if you need to. Breathing here, I hope you're feeling warm enough to start to head into some back bend work now. So as you inhale, kick your right heel to the ceiling behind you. On the exhale, just squeeze that knee in towards your tummy to engage the tummy muscles, which is good prep for back bends, helping the front of the body to stretch. And then we'll roll our way up to stand slowly, bone by bone. We're going to start with dancer's pose. So start by bringing your weight into your left foot, bending at the right knee, and then we'll reach back and hold the outside edge of your right foot. Trying to keep the torso upright here. So there's a few variations of this pose, but we're searching for the deeper edge of the back bend. So keep the chest puffing forward as you press the foot back into the hand. And then we'll prepare to switch sides. So right foot steps down, bringing the left foot into the left hand, pressing the foot back into the hand as you puff the chest forward. Lifting up, squaring the torso, and then release. Inhale, arms rise above the head, stretch tall, arch back, this time strong through the thighs and the tummy. And exhale, keep a flat back as you fold through. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhaling, just step your way back to downward dog this time. Breathing here. Coming back to your breath if you've lost it at all, working on balance, which can be a strenuous place to be. Pedal out the feet if you need to. And now we're going to play with some spine rolls. So as you inhale, roll through the spine through plank pose and mindfully lower the hips straight through to upward facing dog. Exhaling then back to downward dog. Inhale, roll through the spine through plank pose straight to upward dog. And then strengthening the back body, lift the right foot and then switch, lifting the left. Staying really strong through the spine. Coming through chaturanga to upward facing dog. Chaturanga, inhaling, upward facing dog. And then allow yourself to roll all the way down onto your tummy. From here, searching for fluidity and control in the spine, we're going to spider the fingertips off the edges of your mat and then point your elbows up towards the ceiling, hollow your armpits. And as you roll the shoulders back, press your pubic bone down and inhale, roll up through the spine, lengthen through the crown of the head rather than kicking the head back and kinking at the neck. Rolling down on an exhale, inhaling, peel the chest up, stay strong and steady through the thighs, really point through the toes. So the whole body is supporting this position and not just kind of crunching into the lower back. As you release down this time, we'll come into bow pose, bending at the knees, reach the hands for the outer edges of your feet or the ankles. Inhale, puff the chest forward, push the feet back, allow the shoulders to roll open as you breathe deeply here. Keep intending to arch from the chest upwards in order to try to tap into the muscles of the upper back. Then from here, place the hands beside the waist. And as you inhale with strong legs, press straight up to upward facing dog. And then exhale, tummy strong to take you back to downward facing dog. Breathing here, we're going to continue to stretch through the front of the body. Inhale to kick the right heel to the sky behind you. Exhaling to step the foot forward between the hands. From here, we'll come up into low lunge, just resting the hands on the top of that front knee. And then steady yourself. You might need to scoot the back knee away slightly in order to not be on your knee bone. So you want to be really at the lower end of your thigh bone as you bend the left heel in towards your bum, reaching the left hand for the top of the foot. And you can hug that heel in just as far as is comfortable. Eventually the palm will turn on the top of the toes so the fingers point forward, squaring the chest, so you get a shoulder stretch too. And then just closing the gap between your front foot and your back knee. So it's more of a kind of square shape, a right angle between your front and back leg. Coming into half camel pose. Reaching the left hand back for the left heel, lift the chest up, bringing the right hand to the back of the head in order to engage the upper palate. Lowering the hands, step your way back to downward dog, inhaling forward through plank to chaturanga on the exhale, inhaling upward dog and exhale to downward dog. Inhale, left heel kicks high. Exhaling, stepping the foot forward between the hands, lower the back knee down, keeping the hips squaring. So there's a buoyancy, although you're sitting the weight of the hips forward for that nice stretch through the hip flexor, pressing into the front knee. When you're ready, bending the back knee, reaching back for the right foot, and then hugging that heel in just as far as is comfortable for you. Again, you have the option to recruit a strap here if you're a little tight through the front of that thigh. And if you're feeling more open, again, you have the option to press the palm into the toes, eventually turning the fingers to face forward so you get a nice deep stretch through the front of that right shoulder. So as you release, try not to ping the foot, close the gap again between the legs, squaring the pelvis forward, right hand goes for the right heel, inhaling, extend the left arm, trying to keep squaring the torso as much as you can. And again, then the left hand can come to hold the back of the head. So you're pushing the skull back into the hand. So pulling and lengthening through the neck rather than compressing. Lower the hands, step your way to downward dog. Pedal out here if you need to. Rest, reconnect to your breath. Inhale, right heel kicks high. Exhaling, stepping the foot through. This time we're going to come into a hip stretch and a twist. So bring both hands inside the front foot and then widen your stance so your right foot wriggles off to the edge of your mat for lizard pose. You can rock back and forth here for a couple of breaths in order to help the hips open. And then pivot on that front heel so your toes turn to the diagonal corner of your mat, rolling onto the outside edge of your right foot. And again, bend the left heel in towards your bum. This time we're turning, so the right hand will reach for the left foot. So as you turn the chest here, you can stay up on that left palm, or if you have the space to, the left elbow can work its way down towards the floor. Releasing the hands to the floor here and send the hips back. So we come firstly into half split or Ardha Hanumanasana. And you can just stop here if that's enough sensation for you today. Otherwise, you have the option if you wish to come into the full version of the pose, full splits. Really being mindful of the hips here, trying to keep them square rather than splaying apart in order to get deeper into the pose. And you never want to feel the sensation at your bum bones because that's an indication you're stretching too deeply. Finding your way out, however's most easy for you, and step your way back to downward dog. Good, so when you're ready, we'll prepare to repeat on the left side. Inhale, kick the left heel high. Exhaling, gently step that foot forward between the hands, preparing to widen our stance. So you wriggle that foot off to the edge of your mat. Right hand comes down to the floor as you lower the back knee. So turning towards that front knee, and then the left hand reaches back for the right foot. So staying as you are, curl the chest away from the front knee. Forearm can come down to the ground if that feels comfortable. Breathing here, turning that back shoulder away from the floor. Gently releasing from that stretch, place the palms either side of the front foot, and then when you're ready, hips go back for half split. So allow yourself a bend in that front knee if you need it in order to keep a good stretch in the belly of the muscle rather than at the sit bones again. Option then to wriggle your way into the full variation of splits here. You can always prop your pelvis up on a bolster if you feel that you need a bit more support as you practice coming into the full pose. Lifting the chest, staying really active through your back thigh, and then wriggle your way out and back to downward facing dog when you're ready. Moving your way through a vinyasa, just moving with your own breath, or stay as you are in downward dog and just work the breath. Softening the shoulders, pressing the hips back, keeping the weight evenly distributed through the palms of your hands. So we're going to stay with back bends for a little while and bring the playfulness into some inverting once more. So coming into dolphin pose here, lowering the forearms, keep the elbows hugging in. If you're quite tight in the shoulders and the elbows tend to splay, you can recruit your strap again, wrapping it around your upper arm bones to keep them at shoulder width. Again, pause the video if you need a wall to take some time here to first kick your way up into forearm stand. And perhaps that's where you want to keep your practice today, just working the balance and strengthening your tummy muscles. Otherwise, we're going to explore scorpion pose here, in which case then you start to draw your chest forward towards the hands as you simultaneously kick the feet towards the space behind you. So you have this opposing action of the chest pulling through and the feet pushing through. Good. Squeezing the backs of your thighs. And then when you're ready, release from the pose. So pause and repeat, or just rest on your tummy. Rocking the hips from side to side to release the lower back. When you're ready from here, tuck your toes under, place the palms by your waist, and with all of your grit and might, inhale, press your way through plank pose, exhale to downward dog. Inhale, right heel kicks to the sky behind you, and this time we're going to exhale forward into pigeon pose on the right side. So lowering the right shin, square the hips off, so the left hip bone is turning down towards the floor, right hip is drawing back. And as you square the torso forward, similar to the previous stretches we've done in low lunge, starting to find the balance side of pigeon pose. So you root down through your front shin as you bend the left knee, bringing the left heel in towards the butt. So again, if you're more interested in getting into a nice deep stretch in the front of that thigh, just work on hugging the heel in as tightly as you can towards the bum. Otherwise, be playful here. So you can come into a bind. So I've come into a kind of middle level bind. So just wrapping my crease of my elbow around the foot and holding my hands. But you could take mermaid pose or king pigeon if it's part of your practice. And then release and step back to downward dog, coming in to pigeon pose on the left side. So placing your shins, squaring your hips, less concerned with getting the hip down to the floor, but more so keeping nice and buoyant and strong and in control through your thighs. Bending the right heel in. Again, you can just work on the stretch, pulling the heel towards the bum. Otherwise, you can work the toes into the crease of your right elbow. Again, I've gone for that midway bind of just holding the hands in front of my chest. But if you're feeling steady enough, you can then bring the forearms behind the head for mermaid pose, or you can take king pigeon here. So we're prepped and warm enough for any variation of those poses. Gently releasing and stepping your way back to downward facing dog. Stepping the shins forward or jumping through if that's part of your practice, finding your way onto your bum. So we're going to release those back bends with some nice juicy twists now sitting here. We'll bend the left knee in and step the left foot over the right thigh and then crossing the right foot around the left hip. I always overcomplicate that. Lengthening through the spine, tilting your pelvis forward, and then we're going to turn towards the top knee. Again, any arm variation you choose here, so you can just hug the knee into your right arm or take the elbow outside the knee or bind if binding is part of your practice. Keep lifting the chest, turning your gaze to look over the back shoulder and breathe. Good. Slowly releasing to center and then just switching sides. So coming into that twist on the other side. Good. So right foot steps over the left leg, left foot wraps around the right hip. Stay grounded through the sitting bones. Lengthening up through the spine. You can shift your hips back a little bit if that helps you tip your pelvis. So you don't want to kind of arch or sink into your lower back at all. You can always prop up on a block to support that if you need to. So finding your twist and then finding the arm variation that best suits you today. Good. Releasing from that pose, coming into Dandasana in preparation for Paschimottanasana. So folding forward, keeping the chest proud so you can pull as much length through the spine as is comfortable for you. And then if it doesn't cause too much strain on the hamstrings, folding in for that last couple of breaths, if you have the space to do that. Good, softening the shoulders, releasing the lower back here. Taking 2 or 3 more breaths, holding this stretch. Holding up through the spine to release when you're ready, and then we'll go wide-legged forward fold. So if it helps, push down into the floor to kick your bum back in order to tilt the pelvis forward. Again, always an option to prop your hips up on a block if this is a tight area for you. Folding forward, lengthening through the spine. So I find that the proud chest instruction helps you to tap into that lengthening through the spine. Holding onto the toes, and initially I'm really gently pulsing here, so it is a dynamic stretch, mindfully pulsing for about 8 to 10 times, and then holding after that final pulse. So very gently pulling on the feet, keeping the legs really active, so pressing the backs of the thighs, the backs of the calves down into the floor. Good. Slowly release. Staying with inner hip opening, we'll come to cobbler's pose next. So bringing the soles of the feet together. Less intensity would be taking your feet further away from your hips for a deeper stretch on the inner thighs, pulling your heels closer in towards your sit bones. And just holding here, using the strength of your inner thighs to kind of butterfly the legs, pressing the knees out wide. Good. From here, we'll take compass pose. So bending the left knee, foot coming in towards your groin, and then we'll start to wrap the right leg over the right arm. So trying to get the knee crease as close to the shoulder as possible, grabbing for the outside edge of the foot with your left hand, or again, strap it. Kicking the leg towards straight as you turn your chest with the intention of looking underneath your holding arm. So releasing here on an exhale and just switching sides. So this is my tighter side. So again, taking it easy. The more you can get the back of the knee hugging over the shoulder, the more comfortable the pose will be on the hip. And then take it really slowly so it's all born from the strength of the legs. So as soon as you've reached that maximum point within your stretch, just stop and hold. If it feels way too compressive on the lungs, always use the strap so it should feel spacious, should feel freeing. Releasing to Dandasana and then pushing your palms into the floor, kick the hips back, lifting the heels if you can for one last little core strengthener here. And then continuing on with a final arm balance, coming into lotus pose. So we will take both variations on both feet. So starting with your strongest side, if you know what that is. You can always pause the video and strap the legs if you can just come into half lotus. And then root down through the palms, squeeze the shins towards your belly as you push down to lift the hips or not. And crossing and then switching sides. So maybe this is your tighter side this time. It is for me. So right foot on top is the most challenging for me. So again, taking it easy, never forcing at the knee. The pivot to the rotation is always at the hip. So you have the option to strap the legs together in order to bind here and press up. Good, and then just a little prep for Lolasana, potentially playing. So just coming onto the tops of the feet, and then you really have to pour the weight into your shoulders so the shoulders start to move forward beyond your wrists to lift the hips. So maybe keep the toes down and just lift the hips here, or if the shins can come up for a brief moment, let them. If jumping back is part of your practice, then jumping back through one last vinyasa. And really just using that to transition us into our final kind of strength inversion, headstand. So any variation, if tripod headstand is more comfortable for you, then keep your palms down. Otherwise, forearm headstand. Engaging the core, hugging the knees in, and then extending up. Pause the video if you need a wall for support here. Squeezing the thighs, keeping tension through the entirety of the posture. So continue to squeeze the tummy, integrating the shoulders as you draw the shoulders down the back. Taking just a few more breaths, extending out through the heels of the feet. And then your choice on release, just gently lowering down to the floor if you're feeling tired by now, which I'm sure you are, but if you have a morsel of energy left, slowly start to lower the feet halfway. So you come into a little L shape, the hips move just ever so slightly back over the shoulders to counterbalance. Keep really strong through the thighs. So this is just working your compressive strength. So that's really good if you're working towards any of the pressing poses. Resting in a kneeling position. Close the eyes and just take a few deep breaths here. We'll roll off onto the hips. Finishing here, prepping for boat pose, extending the feet upwards. If you can reach comfortably for the heels, grabbing them, and pull the torso in tight towards the thighs for a couple of breaths. And then gently release that, coming into full boat pose, really gently rolling down through the spine, bone by bone, as you exhale your way all the way down to your back. Preparing for fish pose, just to counter the compression that's often created in our upper back, neck and shoulders through headstand. Wriggling the palms of your hands, stacking them one on top of the other underneath your bum. And then from here, press down through your elbows, lift your chest, mindfully tipping your head back so you lengthen really through the throat rather than compress the neck. Heels can stay grounded or lifting up if you feel supported here. Just a couple of breaths, opening the chest. And then from here, we'll finish with a nice calming shoulder stand. So rolling your hips up, lengthening through your toes. I love this one with a slightly underactive thyroid. This is perfect. So stimulating the thyroid, you naturally find your way back to Ujjayi breathing if you've lost that at all, which is really calming. A really meditative breath, but it also keeps you heating up internally, or keeps you nice and warm. So just breathing here. Enjoying the rest. You can close your eyes now if you feel ready to. Staying here as you are and just enjoy the pose if you wish. Otherwise, now is the perfect chance to get that last really deep forward bend for the spine. Coming into plow pose. Toes coming to the floor behind the head. Hands can stay supporting the lower back or extending the arms behind you and interlacing the fingers. Your midway point, if it's just a little too intense with toes to floor, is just bringing your knees in towards your forehead. And rather than just kind of sinking into the spine here, still think lengthening up. So you're kind of rooting down through your upper arm bones, lifting your sitting bones towards the sky. So still really nice and active through the pose. Gently bringing the feet back up through shoulder stand, rolling down through the spine with as much control as you can muster. Tummy muscles will support this. Good. And finishing with a cleansing twist, just bringing the spine back to neutral after all of the forward and back bending. Starting to really focus in on your breathing now, slowing the breath right down. So in your twists, allow the breath to pour into your belly. Taking big cleansing inhalations, releasing slow exhalations. So starting to encourage your exhale breath to double in length as you switch sides, bringing your knees to the opposite direction, turning your gaze towards the opposite hand. And so we've worked really hard in the last 40 minutes. So our final, or second from last, I suppose, pose of this practice is Happy Baby. Releasing your shins to center, soles of the feet to the sky, grab the outer edges of your feet. Trying to ground your hips into the ground. That doesn't make sense, but try to ground your hips down as much as you can whilst grabbing the feet, pulling down on the thighs, either side of your tummy. Good. Releasing here into Shavasana. So you are fully baked, full permission now to completely let go. Allow your pelvis and shoulders to be the two heavy anchor points in your skeleton. And as they become nice and heavy, so can the rest of your body. So your arms and legs can start to melt into the floor. Allow the back of your head to be completely heavy. Allow your breath now to just fall back to its natural rhythm. Trying to keep your awareness with the breath. So whilst we allow the body to fall into rest and stillness, try to keep the mind grounded within the present moment. So as soon as we become still, the mind drifts really quickly back into doing mode. And our aim here is just to be, just to experience our sense of being. So each time you become aware that your mind has drifted, gently coax your attention back to your breathing, feeling the rise and fall of your belly with each inhale and each exhale. And just keep drawing your attention back as many times as you need to. And this is really the best, most important pose of the class. So please stay as long as you can here. Just resting, focusing your attention on the present moment, calming. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope to see you again really soon for another video. I'm hoping to post monthly. So subscribe for notifications and enjoy your Shavasana. Namaste.